I'm really excited to talk about this week's movie. I can't hear you.
Oh, I muted my mic. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm gonna try give a little more buffer. Here I said, no cutting. Okay. So you are very
I'm very excited to talk about this week's movie.
Can you try that one more time?
Okay.
Let's start over.
Are you okay? You look like you're struggling.
I am struggling. Welcome to Meet Cute, a podcast where friends Jenn
and Priscilla Wilson
get together to discuss all things rom-coms, from the classics to the latest releases. We'll be diving deep into the world of romantic comedies.
I'm so excited about this week's movie. We're doing my best friend's wedding.
Yeah. I'm excited about this movie too because the first time I watched this movie ever, I was like, this is a weird movie. And then rewatching it for the episode, I still felt like it's a weird movie. So I'm excited to talk about it.
We both have a lot to say about this movie. I was gonna ask you, because I couldn't remember if you had seen it before. I've seen it so many times.
I have only seen it once before.
And how long ago was it that you saw it for the first time?
Do you remember? It might have been 2022, actually.
Oh, so super recently.
Yeah. Do you remember when I went on that like rom-com kick and I was watching all the rom-coms that I had never seen before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was mainly because I had watched, I think it was either The Runaway Bride or something else with Julia Roberts. And I was like, oh, I'll watch this one.
Got you. Wow. I'm the opposite. And like, I remember seeing it maybe not right when it came out, because I think this came out in like 97 or something.
Yeah, you're right.
So I don't know if I saw it that exact year, but not long after it came out, and I have seen it so many times, and it's always been like a comfort movie for me, which is kind of weird.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah, I really like the cast. Like I just like the way everybody performed it. I think it's a funny movie, but as I got older, I started really looking at it differently. So when I watched it yesterday in preparation for today, I still enjoyed it, but I feel like the last time I saw it before yesterday was maybe around the time the pandemic was starting, and I started looking at it differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Walk us through what this movie is about, Priscilla, because we got to talk about it.
Yeah. So basically, my best friend's wedding is about a woman played by Julia Roberts who has a best friend who is a guy. They've known each other since college, like around sophomore year of college, I think she says. And they do have a romantic history, a very brief one, like a month that they did anything. And then they are best friends ever since. And the movie is about her receiving a call from her best friend telling her that he's engaged to be married. And that kind of triggers her realizing that she loves him and sets out on a mission to get him back while he's preparing for a wedding. That's basically what the movie is. She's diabolical in this movie.
So, because this is only my second time watching the movie, I'm gonna just come out with a thought right away of that I had while watching it this second time around. So when I first watched it, I thought, oh my gosh, she's insane. Like, what is wrong with this girl?
Mm-hmm.
The second time around, I kept thinking about the fact that she was 27, 28,
I know.
and she's in that late 20s behavior, I think, where like she thinks she can control the world, but she can't.
Mm.
I don't know. I kind of had that vibe when I was watching it this time. I actually even made a note of it as I was as it popped into my head. So the behavior, like, it's not great, but knowing her age is, or I guess thinking about her age more, it's like, okay, it's not great, girl. You shouldn't do things like that, but I get it. That was sort of the thought.
So you're saying, oh, like a Saturn return kind of behavior where you're just like going off the deep end,
That's what I'm saying.
like the
Like,
big shakeups in your life type of thing. Yeah, I
mhm.
get that. I get that.
Like, I feel like she thought every time, like, she thought this whole thing was a good plan. And then as she's doing it, she's realizing she's actually like really messing things up.
That her trying to be sneaky was a good plan, you mean?
Yeah, like,
Like doing really despicable shit?
yeah, yeah. Think about the part, and not to get too far ahead. Also, we should probably take a shot every time I say that because I say that very often. I've noticed as I've edited our episodes. Um, she when she's writing the email from her or Michael's
Mm,
father-in-law's office, she like has it written down on a piece of paper. It's not like
mhm.
she's like just coming up with it as she goes. She prepared this because she thought about it and she really thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did she? Not trying to get too far into the weeds here. She had second thoughts. Like she kind of had a redeeming quality where she was writing it and she was talking to herself, trying to convince herself that she was doing this for a good reason, but clearly it wasn't even sitting well with her. So,
But it wasn't until the end when it was time to either send it or save it for later.
mm,
And she or delete it. And she still chose to save it for later because she thought someone could find it.
right.
So I don't know. I just that part still like felt on brand, I guess, for a 27, 28 year old. That like you think you know what you're doing, but you're just causing chaos left and
Mm,
right.
mhm.
But anywho, that's an overview thought of um I
So,
also had to confirm from the beginning of the movie when they were preparing the food and like to bring it to
mhm.
her. I forgot she was a food critic. So I was like,
Yeah.
why does this fuss about what she thinks of the food and it?
Mhm. That whatever they brought out to her looked really good, actually.
Mhm. Mhm.
I wanted it. We're always hungry whenever we're recording. I just
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Every time we're recording, it's in the afternoon.
I
By
know.
the time we're done, I'm ready for dinner. So I know I'm going to be ready for dinner.
So, as Jen said, Julia Roberts plays a character named Jules. She is a food critic. The movie opens with her out to dinner with her editor, George, and they're talking. She has a cell phone. This is the time of cell phones just
Mhm.
starting to crop up. So she checks her messages through her cell phone. She has a message from her longtime best friend, Michael O'Neill. He is a sports writer, and he leaves a very cryptic voicemail saying he needs to desperately talk to her, that he's at the Drake Hotel in Chicago. He really needs to talk to her. Please call me back. I don't care if it's 4 a.m. We just need to talk. So she has like a smile on her face. She's so happy to hear from him. And then she just kind of launches into the story of them, how they met, their very brief one hot month that they had together, and them breaking up but staying best friends and seeing each other through all these life experiences. So I'm guessing so she's about to be 28, which is wild to me
Mhm.
because she even tells George this story that like one night they were somewhere and they make a pact. They make a marriage pact that if neither one of them is married by 28, which I was like, 28? That seems young to
That
me.
part was so funny to me. I literally wrote on my notes, "Oh gosh," because 28? What?
They're that's their give up age. If we're
Right?
not married by 28,
I mean, tell me, please tell me there's hope for me, Priscilla. I did not make a pact before 28. What do I do now?
it would have made more sense. I mean, I guess I don't know. Back then, maybe 28
28
is
feels
old
so
to get
early.
married. If they had said if we're not married by 30, like let's talk. I would have been a bit more understanding. You're still in your 20s and
Mhm.
you're like throwing in the towel already? I don't know.
Mhm.
It was just weird. So when she said it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's right. She's supposed to be 28 and they have a marriage pact at 28."
Yes. Also, I'm going to tag this along to this. Why is it that all these like late 80s, 90s type of rom-coms, everyone has like a full-on career?
I know.
Because she's like a full-on food critic, he's a full-on sports writer, which there were a lot of sports writers back then. Um, too many, I feel like. But what the heck? So no wonder 28 was their give up age.
Mm.
They had a full-on career. Like how? How exactly were they able to build this full-on career? Did they not have to work entry-level jobs?
To be fair, his career doesn't really sound successful. Like it's not like he's getting paid a lot. It's not like he's set up for life. It's just something that he loves to do, but it's not a very well respected job from the sounds of what they say in the movie. Like it's just, oh, he's a sports writer. Like it's a fantasy kind of job. They don't take it seriously, kind of. But she brings up this story of them making this marriage pact, and George is like, he's desperate to talk to you. So he plants the seed in her head
This is all
of,
George's fault.
yeah, that he's calling to like enact this pact they made. And so she gets uncomfortable. She calls him back. You can tell she's nervous and she's kind of pacing around her room. And he answers. They have this playful banter back and forth. And then he just drops this bomb on her and says that he's engaged. And she falls off the bed and says, "I'm getting married this weekend." And she, rightfully so, when she falls off the bed, she's like, "Wait, it's Wednesday night. How can you be getting married on Sunday?" If this chick is supposed to be his best friend, how does she not know about this? Even if she is really bad at returning phone calls, there's no invite that you sent, no save the date. When did you get engaged? It's very bizarre.
Feels a little reckless too that you're gonna let the maid of honor slash best man, because she was, I guess they wanted her to play into both a little bit. You're gonna let her know days before the wedding she has to be in Chicago and like buy like all the things that come with getting ready for a wedding. Again, why are these 27, 28-year olds so successful that they can just drop everything and go?
I mean, it seems like Julia Roberts has the ultimate remote job. I mean, she's basically getting paid to travel and go to these restaurants and try food. Kind of the same thing with him. He travels and follows sports teams around. And Michael's fiance, who's not even legal age to drink, she's
She's
20
20,
years old. She's in college.
a junior in college.
She comes from a really rich family. Her father owns the Chicago White Sox
And
and
some cable.
yeah, and cable sports. And I don't know, it's so crazy. And even though I've seen this movie so many times, it it must have never really landed with me the age. Like, he's 28. She's
Mhm.
20. She's not even graduated college. I I don't know. I don't know why it's something that, like, not until I got older where I was like, "What the fuck?"
Hmm. Yeah. And we don't get to this part here yet, but her plans are to drop out of college and like stick around with him, support his career, which,
Red flags all over the place.
yeah, I mean, it helps that she's rich. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
sure. But at the same time, I don't know. Actually, this might be a good question. I personally would consider a conversation around this, depending on the circumstances and who my spouse is.
Like a
But
compromise, like you're going to compromise your career or something like that?
yes. However, in this particular situation, doesn't really sound great. She's hasn't again graduated college. She has no real career. So I think her only backup plan is that she's rich.
Yeah, I mean, if worst comes to worst, she could get a job at her father's company. There's red flags all over the place for this couple. Not only their ages,
Hmm.
but throughout the film, they're like, they make comments and like snipe at each other. And it's clear that they have not had proper conversation about what getting married would entail. It's
Well,
it's very disturbing to me. Like how much she is willing to just give up and compromise for him. I don't like it's very it's just a bad match. In my eyes, it's a bad match.
I agree. And one of the main reasons why I agree, Priscilla, is because she seems to be really cool with the fact that this is his best friend.
Mm. Mm-mm. Mhm. Mm.
And she knows the story, she has all the facts, but she just seems to be really cool. And yeah, one could argue she's really confident and not confident and whatnot. But even her family, like her mom was so welcoming to meet Jules. Like, I'm like Kim's mom. I'm so like, again, there's just so many facts that seem odd about this relationship. And that one stuck out to me, how welcoming they were to his basically ex and
Yeah.
best friend.
Yeah. I well, I think Kimmy, the fiance, who's played by Cameron Diaz, who is so good in this, by the
Mhm.
way. I love her in this movie. So when you meet her, she's like the definition of like perfection. And he even tells Jules over the phone like she's perfect. There's nothing wrong with her. I didn't think I would be into somebody like that, and especially coming from a rich family. Her family's not what you think they are. They're so nice, they're good people. Same thing with her. And she gets off the plane. So she flies to Chicago because she's on a mission now. Because she's like, he was in love with me all these years. We have the
Mhm.
history. I'm going to get him back. Like, this chick has only known him for 5 seconds. We've been in each other's lives for 9 years. I'm going to be a fucking homewrecker. She sets out on a mission to be a homewrecker.
Mhm.
She gets to Chicago. He comes running through the airport looking for her, and he is dreamy. He is a
Mhm.
total dreamboat, by the way. And so he runs over to her, they hug and then kind of bump and kind of kiss, which
Mm.
mm-mm. And then his
You know how I
fiance,
feel about that. I have a note about mouth kissing later too, FYI.
um Kimmy is behind him, and she's smiling and she's immediately like hugging her. Kimmy is not stupid. Like, yes, she is a very welcoming, seemingly naive girl, but she's putting her best foot forward for him because as women, there's no way that she went into that trusting Jules. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. Yeah.
I've been in that situation. I didn't fucking trust that girl for a second.
Yeah, no, no.
So I think she was being, good, agreeable fiance, welcoming her. She even says, "I've never had a sister." That's not an innocent remark. That's her reminding Jules of her place.
I didn't see it that way, and now you have a really good point. Because when she said that comment, I thought, "Oh, relax. Like what? Like can we not do the whole father sister thing when you get married?" And then now I see it, and she was so shady, and I'm here for it.
Again, this is something that I didn't look at it that way until I was older, and I watched it like during the pandemic, and I was very triggered by this movie. So I think that's also why I was looking at it differently. And the first times that I watched the movie, yeah, she does seem like she'd be naive enough to make a comment like that and actually mean it. I've never had a sister before. But then at an older time in my life,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh, no. I think that's her."
Almost like the dog peeing on the corner to like
Yes,
claim
that's
her
her marking her
territory.
territory. That's her
Yeah.
letting Jules know who she is. Totally.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. So she meets her. They they drive over to, I don't know where they go.
I don't know exactly where they go, but her driving.
She's reckless, which is pretty funny. I thought it was funny. Like he's sitting in the back, like totally used to it, and Jules is ready
Mhm.
to throw herself out of the car. But Kimmy asks her right off the bat to be her maid of honor because
Mhm.
her maid of honor got injured, can't be in the wedding,
Mhm.
and the bridesmaids she doesn't have a good relationship with them. She calls them vengeful sluts. So she's asking Jules to be her maid of honor, and it's really weird. I would be questioning it too. Jules was like, "What? Me?"
Yeah. That seems like I don't know. I maybe I feel some type of way about this, but like the maid of honor should be I don't know. It just seems odd that it's even though she is you know what? No, it was the 90s. I have to give him a pass cuz I'm thinking like put her on the groom side, you know? But
Well, Michael wanted her to be best man, but he had to go with his baby brother.
mhm. So this wedding party feels very 90s then. Like I don't know, I feel like nowadays like just put her have two best man, you know? But he did say I remember Michael talking about the whole weekend was like planned out because her family was very traditional about the wedding. So again, this kind of answers my
That was also a wild comment. He's like, "It's one of those 4-day weddings." I'm like, "What 4-day wedding?" Like,
Mhm. Again, you just find out about it. Oh yeah, they had a brunch the morning of the wedding.
oh yeah, taking their sweet ass time. There's a whole event that happens before the main event.
Yeah, I have never, ever personally been to a wedding that had an event before the wedding. The day of the wedding, everyone is just getting ready. There's nothing else to do but get
That's
ready.
it. I
But they had a whole brunch.
Yeah. They got married in the evening, but when I got married in the evening, and you bet your ass from morning till the start of that ceremony was getting ready, maybe sneaking in a bite to eat, but you didn't go anywhere.
Hmm.
Like we stayed there while we were getting ready, and then like pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
They did a lot. They squeezed in a lot before that wedding.
Must be nice.
Great time management skills.
Well, I'm thinking they have so much money. They literally handed the schedule to someone else and say, keep us all in track.
That's another
So
thing. They most definitely had a wedding planner to do all that. Oh, I know where they brought her. They brought her right to the dress shop to get fitted for the maid of honor dress, which is
I forgot about that.
what the
Yes.
hell? So
Yeah.
she brings her to the shop. She's getting fitted for the maid of honor gown
Days before the wedding.
days before the wedding. And Jules asks her, like, hey, isn't everybody supposed to wear the same thing? And Kimmy's like, you wouldn't be happy unless you were distinctive or something. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, how much did Michael tell you about me? And she goes on and on and on about all these things that she knows about Jules because he talks about her all the time,
Mm-hmm.
apparently. And it's just really uncomfortable because she like gets up in her space. She knows too much. I wouldn't like if somebody knew all these things about me and said them to me. It's the first time I'm meeting you. It's like the first hour of us meeting, and you know all these things about me. I don't know who the hell you are. He told me last night that you guys were getting married. I didn't even know that you were dating.
Yep.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, I agree. It was, now that I have the observation you made about her being kind of shady, Kimmy being kind of shady,
Mhm.
now I'm thinking, like, was she also being shady here? Like, let me tell you all these things, the random things that I know about you, so that you're aware that I have done my research.
Mhm. Mhm.
If I were Jules, would feel so uncomfortable too because of, there are certain things between me and my best friend that should remain between us.
Yes. Yeah.
Their significant other should not know these things.
Yeah, it's definitely weird that he said all these things about Jules to Kimmy. Kimmy's repeating it all back to her. Then then she's in the dressing room. She calls George and is like complaining about her. She's like, "Oh my god, she's so naive and she's annoying, like annoyingly perfect, and she's so dreamy and so like, oh my god, Disney princess about everything." And then there's a knock at the door, and it's Michael who has her dress ready, by the way. He comes in, she's in her bra and panties, and she freaks out because she's like, okay, I wasn't expecting you. And he's got a confused look on his face. She covers up and he's like, I've seen you a lot more naked than that.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, things are different now. Inappropriate. Like, he's very inappropriate throughout this entire movie.
Very, okay? Very. He also makes a comment right then and there about that she looks good.
He says, you look really good without your clothes on.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that gives Jules confidence. And she gets back on the phone with Jordan. She's like, she's toast.
I
I'm
have a theory
pissed.
about this wedding. I mean, about this movie. And I feel like I should just say it right now. My theory here is that Michael is really just trying to advance his career. And that's why he's with Kimmy. Because everything we see, it's like there's these confusing mixed signals he sends
Yeah.
to Jules.
Yes. Like
And
a lot of them.
exactly. So, yeah, okay, fine. Spoiler alert, at the end, he still chases Kimmy and marries Kimmy, but I don't know. I think when you piece it together with a very evil plan, this man is a sports writer, he is struggling, he's trying to make a name for himself, and decides to marry within a short amount of time the daughter of the owner of the White Sox and Cables. What do
That's
you
an,
think?
that's an interesting theory.
Okay.
I could see that. Maybe Maybe not so much the advancing the career, because if he really did want to advance his career, he would take a job with his father-in-law, which he is very against.
Yeah, but that was his plan, right? He wants to seem like
You
he does,
you think it's
he's
a
not
you think
eager.
it's an act?
He wants to seem like he's truly in love because, again, advancing a little bit, but in that scene where they're sitting at dinner and he gets so upset and so worked up,
Yeah,
it's a little too much. He gets a
it's too
little too
much.
worked up that Kimmy coordinated with her dad to get him a job. And he gets way too worked up. He calls off the wedding. And the moment, and he knows her. He knows she's in the verge of tears. So she starts crying. And then suddenly, just because she cried, he's fine. All right, fine, let's still do it. Because she cried and apologized and said,
She
no, but
did.
we're not going to do it. But like this, quickly, he was cool with putting the wedding back on. He was
because she was
very dramatic.
because she was giving him what he wanted. It's very manipulative.
Yes, I'm telling you, I think he is the evil person in this.
Oh, definitely. I don't think he's innocent at all. Like, yeah, Jules is an asshole because she came to this wedding with the purpose of breaking them up, which is just an insane plan to begin with. But his back and forth, giving Jules mixed signals, kind of like, I don't really like the way he treats Kimmy.
No, but Priscilla, think about this. Jules' actions are merely a reaction of the position he's put her in. Because throughout these years, he's sort of, he's the one that made that pact. The slice
Mm-hmm.
the blood and touch each other's blood with they
Mm-hmm,
slice
mm-hmm.
their fingers, blood comes out, they make a pact that they're going to get married by 28. Oh my gosh, okay, I feel like I'm having a revelation right now. I feel God in this Chili's tonight. He says, I have my backup girl in case I can't get what I want, and that's Jules, and I'm going to keep her around. So you know what? While we're traveling, let me get this in her head. She's a woman. She's not going to stop thinking about this. Now, he is aware that Jules has commitment issues, so it's going to be a little
Mm-hmm.
hard. So he has to play the field there. But he ultimately needed a Kimmy in his life. So Jules' behavior, it's just a reaction to what he has constructed. And that's the hill I'm dying on.
so
Sorry, we got off topic, but
no, it's fine. I'm very intrigued by your theory. And I definitely don't look at him as a victim. Not
no.
at all.
No.
Kimmy's a victim in my
Yes.
eyes.
Yes. And now in
Um
my eyes, Jules is. She wasn't when we first started talking about this movie, but now she is.
I have very mixed feelings about Jules because there were actual moments in the movie where I feel sad for her and like my
Mhm.
heart breaks for her. And then other times in the movie where I'm like, I hate this bitch because I've known that bitch before. So,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah, but it was because of what Michael put in the position Michael put her in. Okay, I'm gonna give it up, but I hear you, but I'm telling you, 27, 28, and that's the position this man puts her in. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she's a little reckless.
So
Okay, sorry, let's move on.
I need to talk about the elevator scene cuz that's another they go to, I don't know, a hotel, a restaurant, whatever it is, where they have a luncheon. All these women in Kimmy's life, like that's where Jules meets her mom and
Mhm.
the two cousins that are also bridesmaids and stuff. They're in the elevator. Kimmy is telling Jules her quote unquote honeymoon plan, which revolves around Michael and his
Mhm.
career. If San Antonio sweeps Sacramento, they'll go there, or they'll go to Phoenix or whatever. And Jules kind of like makes a joke about it because she knows it's ridiculous. And she does start out trying to manipulate Kimmy because she's like, oh, garden spots, packing challenges, depending on where you're going, whatever. And Kimmy's trying to tell her, well, it's his career and I'm supportive. And Jules is already trying to plant the seed. She's like, I'm just saying he's lucky. But she's starting to try to manipulate Kimmy into whether it's thinking about her own career, thinking about trying to get him to work for her father. And they're in the elevator and they start talking about him. And Kimmy is kind of launching into all of his faults.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, but he is a good kisser. And Jules makes like a face and she's like, you know what? It's been a long time. I'm going to take your word for it. And then Kimmy pushes the freaking emergency button, holds her hostage, and is literally following her around in this little box while Jules is having a panic attack because she's claustrophobic. And she basically tells her, like, nothing has ever made me doubt this marriage except for you. Because in his mind, you are this perfect person that he loved for all those years, and I can't compare. I'm super competitive, but really, I have to just step back and say, you win. And Jules is like, say what? And she's like, you win. He's got you on a pedestal and me in his arms.
Uh-huh.
That elevator scene is insane.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do, Jen? What would you do if somebody pushed that emergency stop button and needed to just say some shit to you and get in your space?
Okay, first off, I promise I'm going to give this up, but again, he is manipulating both of these women, and that's why you have such a crazy scene of them saying the most ridiculous things. One of them is stopping the elevator, the other one is having a panic attack. With that said, I mean, I would punch a hoe.
She was really invading her personal space. That
Yeah.
was very uncomfortable.
And she could clearly see that Jules was in distress.
Yeah.
So she knew what she was doing. She was in power. Yeah.
Everybody's terrible in this movie
Yeah.
except for George.
Yeah.
I love George.
Yeah.
He's the
I
best
love George
part.
too. I do love George a lot, actually. But yeah, everyone else, I'm hoping George was older. I don't know how old he was.
He seems like he's older.
Yeah, he was having that dinner in the one scene. So he does. But yeah, chaotic. I mean, no, it was a weird scene. It was scary.
It was scary. It was just really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And so Jules doesn't really say anything to that. She like takes the emergency stop off. The door's open. She like runs into somebody. It's all like super chaotic.
And then her family's like literally in Jules' face, right?
Yeah, the entire family has issues with boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Whew, that's weird.
And then, so from there, they bring her to the baseball game where Michael and all the guys are. And
can I say something here?
Yeah.
Did she kiss Papa Joe in the mouth?
Yeah, she does.
I am sick of these 80s and 90s movies. These people, everyone was just kissing each other on the mouth for no reason at all. Boundaries? Have we ever heard of them? That's all I had to say about that.
She goes in and she's passing out beer to everybody, kissing Michael's father on the lips, kind of flirting with his baby brother who may or may not be legal.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole scene is where she kind of initiates a conversation with Michael, kind of talking about Kimmy and saying, how could, you know, how could you like someone that perfect? I figured that would get boring after a while or whatever. And he kind of he like compares the two of them, where like
Mhm.
Kimmy is very open. She's okay with public displays of affection.
Mhm.
She's just
That's such a weird
comfortable.
one.
Yeah. Like
I
he
thought that was so weird because that's just such a weird reason to pick a partner.
yeah.
And I'm sure like that wasn't all of it, right? Or
Right.
whatever. But like that's such a weird thing to put as the reason. He could have said something else around like her commitment issues, like Jules' commitment issues.
Mhm.
Which I guess that goes with it, but still, no.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And you know, he says she lets me hug her in public, and yes, you pulled away when I tried to hug you in public when we were together. And
Mhm.
she she tries to like plant the seed like, "Oh no, I'm changed.
Mhm.
I'm okay with love and
She
romance."
wants
And
him
right,
bad.
right. She's trying to like set the foundation for like, I'm ready
Mhm.
for something. And he's just kind of looking at her like, "Mm,
Now, I have a question for you because I think it's fairly clear. I mean, obviously, the title of the movie is My Best Friend's Wedding. You know, they're best friends. So, a lot of people say, marry your best friend.
mhm,
Now, this movie is kind of a weird scenario because, as we've established, there's something else going on here. But overall, I guess, do you agree with that? Like, marry your best friend? And if so, then I guess what is your theory why that's not happening here?
um I think a successful relationship is built on a foundation of friendship. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
if you build it on attraction, on physical stuff, it's gonna fizzle out. And I know I've said this before. There has to be something more substantial to take that place, because that stuff fades.
Yes.
So I do kind of agree with that sentiment of marrying your best friend, or just just someone that who you see as a close friend. I think the reason why it's not happening for them, if if he did in fact have these feelings for her all these years, how many times is he gonna have to be rejected? You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's 9 years of them knowing each other. They only had 1 month,
Yeah.
allegedly, of them trying the romantic thing. And to be fair, they tried it in college. They were what, 19? Like,
Yeah.
who they were at 19 is, or should be, a lot different than who they are at 28. But I think he saw her as like a lost cause, you know?
Yeah. I mean, aside from the theory I have, I I think this part, I think specifically that scene just felt so confusing because they even have a song. So it just feels like what is happening here? Like, but I think that makes sense actually. So I wanted to hear what you thought because she does have commitment issues. So,
Yep.
okay.
She does have commitment issues. The song thing, so they they go to a karaoke bar.
Mhm.
One of Kimmy's faults that she
Mhm.
lists of Michael is that he loves karaoke bars. She can't sing, she hates it. So Jules decides, I'm going to take him to a karaoke bar. It is the most packed karaoke bar I've ever seen.
Mhm. You sing at your table.
You sing at your table. Now, I've been known to engage in karaoke from time to time, usually when I've been drinking a lot. Only once, I think, only once have I been to a karaoke bar where it was something like that, where you sang in public in front of everybody who was there. The other times I've done karaoke, we've gotten like a private room or something. So
Mhm.
you're doing it with whoever you're hanging out with. That was a crazy amount of people.
Mhm.
And they sit down, Kimmy looks freaked out, and immediately, and I'm trying, no, you know what? I'm not going to be like sympathetic to it. Michael and Jules immediately start talking about all these memories and like inside jokes, and she looks really put out. She's left out of the conversation, and they're like laughing and like falling all over each other. It's just
Yeah. She keeps trying to
uncomfortable.
jump in.
Yeah, she tries to jump in when they start talking about Florence, and
Mhm.
it's just weird. It's it's weird. And I'm without the whole knowing Jules' motives in like a real life context, I'm trying to think like, okay, these people have been friends for a long time. You know, they have their history. They're talking about funny things that have happened, but it's weird to me, right? Am I just am I insecure to think that
No,
like, all right, like cool it a little bit. Like there's somebody else here.
because if you take away the relationships and just put it as like, shoot, I'll give you an example. Like, say one of us brings a friend around, right, from our past, and we all three go hang out. If we just start kikiing with that friend, like, say you start kikiing with that friend, like, what am I supposed to do? Just sit there?
Yeah.
I have nothing to contribute to that.
Mhm.
So, no, I think you're right on the money. Even take away the relationship, like that's just not the nice thing to do, or the socially acceptable thing to do.
Yeah. And it'd be one thing if they were like, so we once did a trip to Florence and like this and this and this happened, instead of just like they were
Mhm.
in their own world for
Mhm.
a little bit, and I felt bad for Kimmy.
Yeah.
She looked very uncomfortable. And then some drunk woman behind Kimmy is like, I want to hear you sing. And she's like, no, 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 no. And then Michael tries to get her to sing. And she's like begging him, please don't do this. And then Jules pulls a dick move and
Mhm.
she grabs the mic and she's like, she said no, she doesn't like it. And so Kimmy gets comfortable and she looks at him like, I got someone who's on my side. And then she fucking serves her up on a platter
Mhm.
and makes
Last
her
name and
sing.
everything.
She said her entire government name to
Mhm.
announce
Mhm.
that she was singing, which, by the way, Cameron Diaz, I want to know how she did that to her voice to make it sound crazy and nervous, because it was
Mhm.
hysterical.
I just felt so bad for her because when the woman and when Michael were trying to get her to sing, like she purely looked terrified,
She was
and
scared.
just like her anxiety was on a whole nother level. And I just feel so bad because the man she's about to marry like did not come to her defense.
Mm-mm.
And
So,
you could tell she was like emotionally not okay with that.
no, I felt bad. So she has no choice but to sing, and
Mhm.
there are people in the crowd who are yelling at her that she sucks, which is crazy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she does suck, but it's crazy that they would scream at her, and he doesn't do anything. He just looks shocked.
How terrible of a singer she is.
Yes. And then she continues to sing and like lean into it, and people start getting into it. Even Jules is looking at her like she can't deny that the girl is charming. She gives her props for like just going with it, you know? Um so that backfires on her. She wants to humiliate her,
Yes.
and it didn't happen because Kimmy just she just
Yeah.
pushed through it.
She exactly. She stepped up to the rose to the occasion.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. That was a really good scene. I was laughing, but at the same time I felt so bad for Kimmy.
I felt anxious
Yeah.
cuz so the first time I ever did karaoke at like a public place like that,
Mhm.
I was in Nashville.
Was it that bar on Broadway?
No, it wasn't on Broadway. It was behind Broadway down Printer's Alley.
Oh, okay.
There's all these
Okay.
like little bars and stuff down there.
Mhm.
And the karaoke bar was it was underground. Like
Mhm.
you saw the sign, you went underground, and I don't know why I got it into my head that I was in Nashville. So I needed to sing karaoke. And we went to that bar and I put my name on the karaoke list. I was ready to throw up. I was so nervous. And I remember them going, nobody's telling you to do anything. And I was like, no, I have to. I was like in the mindset that I was in Nashville. This is what you do. And I went up there and I sang a Miranda Lambert song.
Good one. Yeah.
I was scared, but I did it to myself. So
But I'm glad you did it.
I had
It
fun. I had
Yeah.
fun. I just,
I mean, you didn't make it as a country singer, but
no, I didn't make it as a country singer. I didn't get anybody's attention,
oh. You
but
mean Taylor Swift didn't want to put you on her next album?
no, I did not get discovered. I was immediately blown out of the water by by this guy who went up there with, I don't know if it was his girlfriend or just a friend. They sang Nicki Minaj, no, not Starships, Super Bass. They sang Super Bass. So he did the Nicki part and she sang the backup vocals. They
Wow.
blew me out of the water. I couldn't compete.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like you had a chance.
I didn't have a chance. I was just happy to be included.
Mm. Well, I'm happy you went, and I'm happy you chose a song that was country music friendly. But I have a question for you. What is your
Mhm.
go-to karaoke song?
Mm. Um, I'll usually always do something from NSYNC or Spice Girls. That's
Oh,
like
okay.
when I'm really drinking and it's like a group effort.
Mhm.
NSYNC or Spice Girls will play at some point.
Mhm.
But would I sing by myself? Probably Lizzo.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah.
Good as hell.
Yeah. That's a good one. Okay. Yeah.
What's your go-to?
We should go karaoke.
We've been talking about this for a while.
We have. I so I have a go-to that is a recent one, I guess. Um Actually I have two go-tos. Bruno Mars. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to sing it because I can't remember the name. Hold on. The Put Some Money in My Pocket, Keep Up.
Uptown Funk? Oh.
Um Maybe that's not maybe no. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look it up, aren't I? The girl sing hallelujah.
It's Uptown Funk.
That's no, that's not the name of the song, is it? Gosh, it
Yeah.
is. Why did I think that was like another one? Anyway, okay, yeah, Uptown Funk and Headlines by Drake. So it depends
Oh,
on the vibe I'm
really?
in. Yes. So here's the thing, my karaoke career. So I'm going to give a shout out to Tax Jar and any of my former colleagues that may be listening to our podcast. We at Jarfest did a lot of karaoke. Like there was like always a karaoke night. And towards the end of it, I think people did karaoke almost nightly, but like
Mhm.
officially there was always like one planned karaoke night. And one time I had a lot of sake at
Mhm.
dinner,
Mhm.
and that's where the Drake headlines came into the picture. So
Oh.
this was in Santa Monica.
Oh.
And that
Interesting.
after that, because I love that song and it hyped me up.
Mhm.
So after that, it was like Drake all night. And actually, fun fact, we had an investor at that karaoke night.
An
But I
investor?
was, yeah, like a already an investor of Tax Jar was at the
Oh.
karaoke night. But I was already so sake'd up that I was just like rapping in my best Drake
Mhm.
impression.
Mhm.
But I remember in the corner we had an investor there. But somehow it worked out for us. Maybe he really liked my singing or
He
something or my
probably enjoyed
rapping.
the performance.
I am a good performer. I
I could see
feel
that.
anytime I'm performing, I feel like I move like Beyonce. And I just want everybody to also see it that way, even though that's not what's happening. Yeah.
You know what? thoughts are powerful. If you think it, that's what
That's
it
true.
is.
So I sing like Drake, or I rap like Drake, I move like Beyonce, and I have the swag of Bruno Mars. That's the perfect combination. Oh, also, I'm a great partner. So if somebody's really shy about doing karaoke, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
great, like, name the song. I'll just follow the lyrics. But I've sung a lot of different songs with people because they just were shy or they needed a partner or something.
We got to go karaokeing then.
Yeah, we should. In public or in a room. I'm down for either.
I get really nervous about the public one. Like I have to be pretty liquored up for me to
I
just
can
do
make
any
that
kind of
happen. Yeah.
don't
Tequila?
feed me tequila. That's your answer for everything, Jen.
Listen, tequila, a ranch water, we're just it's what we need.
Boy. You're the only person I drink tequila for.
That means a lot to me because I remember my first birthday in Oklahoma. I was turning 29 and we went to Fassler Hall. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, you had like 3 shots of tequila, and
I
every
did.
time before every shot, you kept reminding me, I don't do this. I don't drink tequila. But you are such a great friend. So
Thank you.
that's when I knew
That's
it
how
was
much I
real.
love you.
I knew it was real.
How much I love you. Put that poison in my body. So they finish up at the karaoke bar. And so they're going to leave. Kimmy's, I forget. Oh, she has to get up early for some brunch or whatever. And Jules is going to go with her because she's the maid of honor. And
All these
Kimmy,
brunches.
I know. Kimmy, another thing that I look at the whole like wedding thing and I'm like exhausted just look at, even though that's not a normal thing that happens where it's like over the course of 4 days, but it's still exhausting to think about. But Jules is like, oh, I would stay back and hang out with you, Michael, but the bride needs me. And Kimmy's like, I mean, I wouldn't say I need you. And she's like, all right, too quick out of that cab. And she's like, well, if you don't need me, I'm going to stay here. And you can tell Kimmy's uneasy about it, but she gets sent off in a taxi. She stays back, hangs out with Michael. They're hanging out. They get a hot dog and they're talking about Kimmy. He's asking her, do you like her? And she's like, yeah, I like her. And she also kind of starts feeling him out in terms of the job offer thing. Like that's when she kind of makes a comment about like, what is this? The Sacramento or San Antonio sweeps Sacramento thing. And she makes a comment about how like it's pretty crazy how much this girl is going to sacrifice for you. She's going to drop out of school. She's going to follow you around with your job. And he's kind of offended. And he's like, well, my job never bothered you before. And she's like, well, it doesn't bother me now, but I'm also not affected by your job. Like Kimmy's affected by your job. And she kind of is like, I'm surprised that like her father's company hasn't come up. And he immediately shoots it down. He's like, she would
We know
never.
why.
Because he really wants it.
Yeah. He's trying to make sure his persona doesn't break.
He tells her like, no, she would never do that. It would never cross her mind. And so that gives her the idea to kind of move forward and try to sabotage things between them in that way. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, the next day when she's hanging out with Kimmy, they're in a department store. Are they freaking registering for gifts? Like 2 days before the wedding?
I don't remember actually specifically what was happening.
I know they were in like a store and they're walking by and there's China. They're walking past like different China collections.
I sure hope they're actually checking in on the registry to see who has bought what, Assuming because it's the 90s and they had to show up at the store. They couldn't look online
Mhm.
because a couple days before the wedding to register, okay. All right, rich people, get it together.
But they're in this store and she's manipulating the situation with Kimmy, bringing it up
Mhm.
about, I'm surprised it hasn't come up, you know, this a job in PR or something like that. And Kimmy's like, actually, my father and I have talked about that before. And she's like, I figured. And so she gets in her head about how to present it to him as this attractive offer. Like he's doing
Mhm.
them a favor. If he just
Mhm.
does it for 6 months, then he's going to
Mhm.
he's going to end up loving it and not want to go back to his job, and Kimmy gets excited. It's really like some devious underhanded shit.
I am going to add to my theory. His reaction was she will never do that. She would never do that. Doesn't he know his best friend and know that she can like take control of the situation depending on what he says?
But that would so what you're saying, this theory is
Mhm.
that not only is he playing Kimmy because he actually does want this stuff, he's playing Jules. He knows that Jules actually loves him and is going to do all that. That's what you're saying?
Not necessarily with like attached to love and everything that happens through the movie, but that conversation about the job could be him saying, no, no, she would never do that. Like that's something she would never do.
Mhm.
And then, but maybe he knows that Jules gets shit done. And if you tell Jules, like, yeah, that may never happen, Jules gonna go make it happen. I don't know. I don't know.
It's interesting that when Kimmy does bring it up when they go out to dinner and it's
Mm-hmm.
the three of them and she brings it up, which is also weird to me. Like they go out to dinner and you're going to bring up like kind of a big topic, and it's not just you and him. His friend is going to be, I don't know.
That
It's
dinner was
all
so
very weird.
weird.
It was so weird. And she like brings it up. It's funny to me that he lashes out at Kimmy only. The night before, he had just said to Jules she would never. So wouldn't you think that he would maybe put two and two together and be like, you had a hand in type. I mean, he does
Or,
question her. He does. He says, and you knew about this? And she's like, well, it's her life too. But he's not angry with Jules. He's angry with Kimmy. The way he talks to her,
yeah,
didn't like it.
I'm telling you, I feel so much more confident in my theory because, again, he's not giving Jules shit. He's giving Kimmy shit. And you just had a conversation with Jules about it. Yeah, no, he was playing. He was playing the field. He knew what he was
But you
doing.
know it too. He also knows that Jules, she seems like the type of woman who can't be manipulated, that who catches on to his shit real quick. Kimmy's only 20.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not an idiot, but she's also super vulnerable, and he's like the he's kind of borderline abusive with her. Like the way he
Mm-hmm.
talks to her, I think it's because he's like she's 8 years younger than me.
I can control her.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, and I agree with you with the theory you just said that he knows that Jules can't be controlled or manipulated. That's why he doesn't specifically manipulate her to do something. He like has to just say certain words.
Mm.
He knows she can't be manipulated easily. He knows how to manipulate her. He manipulated her into the whole pact of 28. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Priscilla. I have the smoking gun here. I'm sure they're like this theories in Reddit too, but
Maybe, yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So this whole plan of hers backfires again
Uh-huh.
because Kimmy immediately is like, this is all my fault. I'm so sorry. We talked about this. And she like fought back a little bit because she was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm supposed to give up my life, the plans I had for myself, my dreams, all that stuff. He doesn't give a shit,
Nope. Nope.
which,
He doesn't
red
care
flag,
about Kimmy.
number, I don't know,
Yeah.
37.
He doesn't care
And
about her. He doesn't.
so he pulls out the manipulative, just say it. I'm not good enough for you. I'm not good enough for your family. We should just call off the wedding. And she freaks out, grabs him, crying and begging him to stay. I'm so sorry. You're right. And just she's ready to give up everything for this dude. At least get your degree. My God. So it backfires on her. She gets super drunk.
Uh-huh.
She calls George.
Yeah. And she's on his machine while he is having a fabulous dinner.
No, that's later. She calls him multiple times.
Oh. Oh, okay, never mind.
I think that's the second time she calls him when she leaves the message on the machine, I
I
think.
thought this was the one in the machine because that after
Oh,
this is
yeah,
when he
you're
flies
right.
to
You're right.
Chicago.
I'm sorry. Yes. She
Mhm.
leaves a message on the machine while he's at a dinner party and everybody just kind of listens and ignores it. And yeah, he flies
And
to
then he's like,
Chicago. My bad.
"Coffee, anyone?" And it's just such a, like, again, you can tell he's older. He's not phased by her craziness.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. She leaves a message on his machine. He flies out to Chicago, surprises her, and they're in her hotel room talking about everything. And she even admits, like, if I didn't have to hate this girl, I would really like her. Like, we could probably be friends. And you know what I love about George, aside from the fact that he's so funny and smart, but he is the ultimate best friend. He's like what best friends should be because
Mm-hmm.
he is calling her out on her shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's not just a yes man.
No.
He gets really real with her. He's very brutal. He asks her a question that's very valid. He he says to her, "Do you really love him or is this
Mm-hmm.
just about winning?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fact that he's going to question her motives, that's what a good best friend would do. Like,
Yeah.
don't always just go along with what I'm saying.
No.
Like, you need to bring me back down to earth for
Yeah.
a second there. And she does admit that at first it was a jealousy thing. Like, she had a claim because, she was
Mm-hmm.
first, But then she admits that like she realized that actually all those years she was in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
She just, I don't know, didn't want to admit it. Or what I think is she assumed and got comfortable with the fact that this man thought the world of her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she probably thought he'll be there when I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like the safe bet for her.
I think that's why, or this explains so much of this behavior she exhibits through the movie because she thought things were safe and she was the one that just needed to get to a place where she was ready. And then it wasn't, and then it moved really fast. So that's why she went into like fight or flight mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And George tells her that really the only course of action she can take at this point is by confessing her love
Mm-hmm.
to Michael. And he says one of my favorite quotes. He says, "It's amazing the clarity that comes with psychotic jealousy." I love that line. And even when they're like she's like laughing about it and he's like, you have to tell him that you love him. And she starts to get up because she's like, "Man, what?" Did you notice he like grabs her he grabs her hair and pulls her back down? He's like, "No, I'm serious."
He is besties goals.
I love him. I love him.
Big fan.
So he's in town. I think he even says, "I have to fly out later today." Like, he's not even there a whole day, by the way.
No.
And so he convinces her, okay, you need to go to wherever he is, tell him that you love him. And so she goes to the tuck shop. He's getting fitted for his suit or whatever. Again, what, a day or two before the wedding?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Rich
happening
people.
here?
Rich people.
What kind of timeline do these people operate on?
I don't know.
And the shops, like, I hope they're paying these people a pretty penny to, like, basically work themselves
Work
to
around the
the
clock for
bone.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. So she goes to the shop. George is there with her, and she's trying to get it out. And she's like being very cryptic about what it is she has to say. And Michael looks to the side and notices George there. He notices him because George falls uh, with one of the mannequins on top of him. And he's like, "Who is that guy?" And she's like, "Oh, that's George, my editor. I've told you about him." And he's like, "Yeah, why is he here?" And she's like, "Oh, he's here to, to be with me. He's my best friend." And you could see that Michael doesn't like that. And you see them still talking. You don't hear what they're saying, and so they come over to George, and they both look really happy. George assumes that she told him,
Mm-hmm.
and what she really told him was that George is her fiance, that they're engaged. Mind you, George is gay, and I believe already married.
Already married, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because she takes his ring to make it all
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happens after that point is so fucking funny. He really stole the show.
Yeah.
Everything he did was just brilliant. I think he did get nominated for this role.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't remember what award. I'm pretty sure he got nominated. I don't know if he won, but yeah, he deserved the attention that he got for this role because he wasn't in it. He wasn't in the movie for, like, he didn't have this like huge role, but he made a very good impression, very lasting impression.
He was nominated, actually.
He was? What was he nominated for?
He was nominated for a Golden Globe Best Supporting Actor. He was nominated for British Academy for Best Supporting Actor. Everything was Best Supporting Actor.
Mhm.
National Society Films, MTV Movie Awards for Best Comedic Performance for the MTV Movie
Mm.
Awards and Best Breakthrough Performance. And then he won the American Comedy Award for the Funniest Supporting Actor, the Florida Film Critics Circle, and the Satellite Award.
Good for him. It was funny.
Oh, he was so great. Yeah. I love when they're at the church and they go, "What's your flight?" And he's like, "Cancel." It's such a like sassy response yet factual.
When when she goes when she's like, "I told him, we were engaged, I couldn't keep it a secret." And he's like, "Yeah." He basically was like, why did you fly in or something?" She's like, "He flew in for a few hours to fuck me."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Takes a few hours."
He was so good.
So good. And just him leaning into it and really just punishing
Mm-hmm.
her for
Mm-hmm.
springing it on him. Like, everything that happens at the church is so chaotic. Him
Mm-hmm.
him and Kimmy interacting and
Yeah.
her giggling and screaming and him slapping everybody on the butt, and so funny. And then the whole lunch scene at the seafood restaurant. What's it called again?
Barry Kudas. So like Barry and then Kudas.
Can I tell you all of the times that I have watched this movie, I've never noticed the name of that restaurant, and I noticed it yesterday when I watched it, and I burst out laughing. What a ridiculous
I thought there was such a cute name, and then they pan on everybody like eating like seafood. I'm like, oh, what a punny name. That was
Uh-huh.
perfect. I love this whole everything that happens here. I actually did not know when I watched this movie today who do not judge me. Dionne Warwick was.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I definitely have heard the song "I Say a Little Prayer for You," but I was like, "Who's that?" So I Google her, and like, they were wrong. She's not. She wasn't Whitney Houston's aunt. She was her cousin. So I just wanted to fact check them there. But it was so funny. And then when they started singing "I Say a Little Prayer for You," it gave such shotgun wedding vibes because we already talked about the Alvies.
Yeah.
Because the whole restaurant was like singing and it was like a musical.
It's funny because them breaking out into song in this movie, I didn't feel the cringe that I felt with Shotgun Wedding. Maybe it's because I think My Best Friend's Wedding is a good movie in general, and I didn't think Shotgun Wedding was good. I don't know. It something I know that breaking out into song is not natural, but there was something
No.
more natural about the way they did it in My Best Friend's Wedding, because George is like, I would totally believe that George would do something like that. Like, he's telling this elaborate fake
Mm.
story about how they meet at a mental institution, her breezing through the doors of the electric shock therapy room, and him, like, just the things that he says. He wanted to know if she's an actress because who does her hair? Like, I love it. The entire time that he is telling this fantastical story, Michael looks so jealous. He looks
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. He looks pissed. Now, if you're Kimmy, do you think you would notice that look on his face? Because I totally would.
Absolutely. I would have noticed it and I would have had a lot to ask and say about it later in private because I'm a classy bitch.
Yeah, that would be a conversation and a half. Like, it was so obvious. And then, yeah, they're all singing.
That was weird. When the
I,
whole
I
restaurant
loved
started
it.
singing,
I loved it. I
I was
really
like,
loved
what
it.
is. Can I tell you what I thought?
Like,
when
somebody
the whole
who works at
restaurant.
the restaurant went onto the piano.
When the whole restaurant started singing, I thought. it was funny. I didn't remember that from the first time I watched the movie.
All the waiters in the back, as they're ending the song, they've got their little lobster claw mittens or whatever they are, and they're just like waving in the background. So
It
funny.
was a whole Barracuda performance.
Everybody really put their all into that performance.
Maybe that happens a lot at Barracuda.
Maybe they had a piano right there waiting. So
Yeah, and
maybe
someone ready to jump in. So
yeah, this is not the first time that the staff at Barracudas has joined in on a performance.
no.
So that whole debacle happens,
Uh-huh.
and they drop George off at the airport, and he gets real with her, and he's like, just tell him. And she's nervous, and she asks George, like, what is he gonna do? Like, if I tell him this, what is he gonna do? And he is so brutally honest with her, and straight up tells her he's gonna choose Kim.
Yeah.
Which is, I really respect him for saying that. Like I said, I think George is like the ultimate best friend.
Yeah. I think this is why not I think, I'm sorry. I know for sure this is the moment where I could tell, okay, he's definitely older and she's 27, 28, and you can tell. Like this is her age is
Yeah, yeah.
showing. Um and he's trying to bring some wisdom into her life.
Mhm.
Yeah. But then, then he takes off and then she goes with Michael and then they go to like have their own little alone time.
Mhm. She tells him that she and George are not a thing
Mhm.
anymore.
Mhm.
And he admits to her that he got crazy jealous
Mhm.
seeing them, which again, inappropriate.
Extremely. Extremely.
And he's so like serious when he says it and like looking at her so intensely and
Mhm.
what the hell? So yeah,
He
they
knows you
have
don't do that
their
to a woman that has feelings for you.
mhm. So they have their alone day and they go take a I don't know if it's a tour, but they go on the boat.
I feel like I've been in that boat before, but obviously that's like a standard boat.
Mhm.
So I think it's like a tour, like a Windy City tour thing.
Mhm.
But they obviously are having their own little moment. I don't know if he starts singing before or after this, but he does start singing the song and they dance. So maybe this is before then. They have that moment where they're going under the bridge and that that scene, I have to give it to this movie. That scene was so beautiful and
It
so
was.
well directed because
Yes.
I felt it. He goes, you got to tell someone you love them, or else the moment sort of passes you by,
Mhm.
and you can just like see the moment passing her by because she was not
Yes.
talking.
Yeah. They go under the bridge where that was her moment. They're looking at each other.
Mhm.
They're under the cover of darkness in the bridge where she could have
Mhm.
just opened up and said it. And then it's just really good symbolism. Them coming out of the bridge, the light
The
comes
light.
out, and it's just really representative of she missed her chance and she knows it.
Mhm. Mhm.
She's like kicking herself. You can see it. And then
Mhm.
that's when he starts singing because he's like, "You want to dance or
Yeah.
whatever?" And that like that whole scene, the whole thing from her letting the moment pass her by and then him singing the song and she's crying while they're dancing. It's heartbreaking. I it's one of the moments where I actually do feel sorry for Jules just because it's you feel her you feel
Yeah.
her heartbreak.
Yeah. Their relationship is so complicated, and I feel really sad for her at this moment because he is stringing her along. He is really toying with her heart.
Yeah,
And it's like she has no control over it.
the things that he says and the
Mhm.
way he looks at her and everything like mm-mm, it's not okay for an
Mm-mm.
almost married man to be doing that shit.
No. No. And I would feel like this moment for him would have created some sort of confusion if he was a normal human being. But we've established that I don't think he is. He's
He's
evil.
he's problematic to say
Yeah.
the least. Like yeah, the this last time that I watched it, I don't like him.
No.
I don't like him. And on a couple levels, I feel like he and Jules are perfect for each other because they're both pieces of shit.
Hmm. They both have some growing up to do. Maybe they can do it
Yeah.
together.
Full disclosure, I don't see him and Kimmy
No.
staying together. That's a divorce in the making right there. Like
Yeah.
I have no faith whatsoever in that marriage.
For them, it's either happens right away or it happens 20 years down the line when the kids
Mhm.
are graduating, or 25 years down the line, kids are graduating high school and college, and she's realizing she feels unfulfilled. He has now what he wants. Yeah, no, it's this movie is very interesting. I think again, I think spoiler alert, I think you're going to be very surprised by my rating, but it's just this is a very forgot how again, I only saw it once before, but I forgot how interesting and complex this movie is.
Yeah. It's there's already there's already so much resentment between him and Kimmy.
Yeah.
They haven't had proper conversations about major topics. So I think you're right. I believe either they're going to get divorced within the first few years, or it's going to be a later down the line divorce. And
Mhm.
that's going to be nastier.
Mhm. They're going to hate each other at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with all of this happening, Jules decides she's still going to move forward and continue to try and sabotage
Mhm.
this whole thing.
She's going to go deeper.
She's a twat. Like the fact that
Yeah.
like all of this is happening, you
Yeah.
missed your shot to do it in a quote unquote honest way, which is still it's still messed up to do, to be like, "Hey, I love you. I know you're getting married. I love you." She's still going to do the sneaky underhanded stuff. And so she goes to Kimmy's father's office,
Mhm.
and I don't even know why she's there.
No, I think she had a meeting with him because he's like, "Oh, you're early." Which I don't even know why they would have a meeting because again, their industries, I don't see how they collide. Maybe it's a meeting around the wedding. I don't know.
Hmm.
Also, it never really oh, you know what? They leave together. So maybe they were going somewhere
Oh.
wedding related together
Mhm,
because they leave
mhm.
together. But here's why earlier I said like Jules was actually very calculated here. She
Mhm,
was calm, she was collected, she had a plan. She was following
mhm,
the plan because she's just talking to him and he's like, "You're early." And she's like, "I actually had a few calls. Can I do them in your office?" Like she knows what she's doing,
mhm.
kind of, you know? So then, she goes into his office, she pulls she pulls the computer open. The computer graphics were gorgeous. I didn't have a computer in 97, so I could not tell you like if this was accurate or not, but oh my gosh, it was so beautiful.
When she's typing that email, I'm trying to think. I used to go on my dad's computer, like we would visit him at work and go on the computer at his job, and it did kind of look like that. Like I do remember it looking kind of
I
like
love
that.
it.
You notice that when she's writing out the email to Michael's boss, under under the email part, she just writes the guy's name and job title. There's no email address in there.
I didn't notice that, but I'm not why am I not surprised that that's what happened? She just had that moment with Michael, that very intimate moment. She's still thinking, if I keep fighting, I'm going to get what I want here.
Yeah, he does give her little breadcrumbs of hope.
Breadcrumbs, that's it. Yep.
He does. They're
Yep.
like too flirty, too intimate. He's like kind of romantic.
He's keeping her around. I don't know if this was at the boat or this is later at the hotel room, but he or she says the two times a year when we have the
Yeah.
affair, and he did not
Yeah, he's
say
like, except for
anything.
that. Yeah, that was on the boat.
Yeah, he did, because he was not gonna let Jules go or Kimmy, and he was gonna do everything he could to keep them both happy.
Mhm.
Because again, from Kimmy, he was gonna get the career. From Jules, he was gonna get the hey, your body looks good. How about we have this affair twice a year?
Oh
Yeah.
god. I mean, the only consolation here is when she does write out the email, she does have a conscience.
Yes, and I think it's because she's an okay person. Because even with delete or save for later, she chose to save for later so that someone else can find that email.
I know. I know. I mean, the fact that like she has second thoughts and all that, but she still goes through with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she still saves it for later to show Michael and do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
that blows up in her face.
Oh my gosh. The facts come. Now they're, no, first they are trying to get back into the building because she doesn't realize that
Mhm.
Mr. Wallace told his secretary, I have a few emails in draft,
Mhm.
send them. So she didn't hear that part. So she's now trying to go back into the building with Michael to try and get to this email and delete it. So again, I'm assuming her conscience was working too. Okay. So then they can't get in. So they go back to the hotel, and Michael says, as they're about to go into the room or something like that, they're kind of walking around. He's like, okay, when we get into the room, I'll give him a call,
Mhm.
and we're gonna make sure we get you in there to do what you need to
Mhm.
do. Because he was like, I guess she was like saying it was work related, and he was like, tomorrow's Sunday. Like, what kind of work do you have to do Sunday? Um,
Yeah, and her like he's looking at her like what is going on
mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
you she's freaking out. She's got this
Yeah,
desperate
her
tone to her
guilt.
voice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's probably it's probably two things. I'm sure she feels panic that, oh my God, I wrote this
mm-hmm,
email and, it's just kind of hanging there. And then also she's panicking because she's like, this is my last chance before they get married. I think she even says it in front of the door because he's like, nothing's happening tomorrow. She's like, that's my point. Everybody's going to be so busy. This is my last bit.
Priscilla, we're looking at this wrong.
What do you mean?
We are. She saves the email for later, right? The email is in that computer. Okay. The only way Michael will see that email is if she, like, if somebody shows it to him from that
Right,
computer.
right, right. So she wants to
So
like pull it up.
so she wants to go into the office to get this work thing. She's going to use the computer, and she's going to say, "Oh my gosh, Michael, did you see this? Look at this."
Yeah. Yeah, she
So
wants
she's
to.
not panicking. We are looking at it wrong. I am 100% positive. Again, I will die on this hill. She was really trying to get in there because remember, tomorrow's the wedding. Is she going to show him the email on Monday?
That's what right, exactly. And that's why she says that's why she is kind of having that panic moment because this is her last shot before the wedding and yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. I thought when I watched that, I thought, oh my gosh, she feels so guilty. And then no, it just hit me. She needed to get him up there to show him this email so that her plan could work.
yeah, maybe she's not maybe she doesn't feel guilty at all. I thought maybe it was a 50-50 thing, but no, I feel like maybe she committed to it.
Yeah.
She had guilty thoughts as she was writing it, but then she was like she was talking herself through it.
Tunnel vision. She
Yeah,
knew.
she's
Yeah.
like I'm doing this. This is for the best
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and period.
She's almost feeling like she's saving him
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
So,
I think
but
she thinks
that's
that she's doing him a favor.
a favor. Yeah. I that's what she was flipping out. So then he gets the facts, right? Or
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
lot of
They're back
letters
in
or
the
memos.
yeah, they go back to the hotel. She looks sad. He says the thing that you said, like, let me get into the room, call the house or whatever, get the right key, and then we'll get you up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a envelope that the hotel gave him, some messages that were left for him, and one of them is that fax.
Mm-hmm. So then he reads the facts, and it's basically his boss saying, "Be careful of who you're marrying into,
Mhm.
because I got this email from your father-in-law." And he's flipping out, getting ready to call Kimmy, ask Jules to leave the room. which then she starts smoking outside with the bellhop. But then he eventually opens the door. He's calm. I don't remember what conversation they have there. Anything significant happen, but I do remember the ring.
You mean a conversation between him and Jules?
Yeah, before he did the ring thing.
I
I don't want to
mean,
jump into the ring thing unless anything significant
no, I
happened
mean
there.
he just tells her that the wedding is off. Yes, the
Okay.
ring part.
Okay, number one, aside from take away who he is as a person, that was hot.
It was hot.
But that just proves to
Yes.
us he is a fuck boy.
Yeah.
You
The
don't
way
do
the
that.
way he took off that ring.
You
Sir.
do not do
Sir.
that. No. No.
That's your first method to use to try to get this ring off is
Within a second, he stuck her finger in his mouth and he pulled that ring. And then he did the little twisty thing
uh-huh.
with his tongue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was very
Fuck boy.
sexy.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
sexy.
Again, take away, hot, but put it back into this movie. What a horrible, horrible man. So again, now she continues to be fueled by, yes, this is working. Everything I've done so far, it's
Yeah.
working.
I mean, she does feel bad because did he get fired?
I don't think he got fired. I think Eric, his boss, was more of a like, be careful of what you're marrying into.
Mm. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
the whole reason why she was like, I'm not going to send this. He'll get fired.
Yeah, no, I think because his fax read like be careful what you're getting into. Here's the email I got from your father-in-law, and then the email started reading. So
Gotcha.
yeah, then he calls off the wedding, but then the next morning, remind me of what happens here. The next morning,
He goes to the brunch. The day of the wedding, this brunch is popping off like normal.
because they haven't told anybody that they called off the
Neither
wedding,
one of
so they're
them
going along. Yeah.
neither one have told anybody that the wedding is off. So he
Mm-hmm.
goes like nothing. She's there like nothing. There are all these vendors that are there setting all these things up for the wedding, for the reception, bringing the food, the flowers, everything. He leaves a note for Jules letting her know I'm at my in-laws' house, and she's like, "What?" So she heads over. Did you notice that she has two sunglasses?
Mm-mm.
She's got two sunglasses. She's wearing one, and there's a pair on her head. I thought that maybe it was like they messed up, like a continuity kind of thing, but you see it in other scenes after that. Like she brings two sunglasses with her. I don't know why. So she goes and she kind of pulls him aside and she's like, "What's going on here?" And he tells her, "Well, she hasn't told anybody." Basically putting it on on Kimmy's shoulders to be
Mm-hmm.
the one to say it, and because she hasn't said it, he's trying to save face and he's there for the brunch and blah blah blah. And is that the part where he asks Jules, "Do you think she's okay?" and asks her to go check on Kimmy?
I don't remember.
Because Jules then leaves him to go find Kimmy, and Kimmy's like bawling, looking at all the flowers being brought in, and she sees Jules, and Jules is like, "Hey, he's kind of wondering why you haven't said anything to your family." And Kimmy's like, "Well, I guess I'm hoping for a miracle or something." And Jules is kind of trying to convince her to call off the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
She has to go back and forth between these two people a lot, which another red flag. You shouldn't be getting married if you can't come together and talk about this yourselves. You have to send somebody as your go-between.
That you just met a few days ago.
That's so crazy. You can't have a conversation. I don't have any kind of faith in you being able to communicate in your marriage.
No.
It's crazy. And then when Jules goes back to Kimmy, she kind of tries to tell Kimmy that like you're not what Michael needs, or you're not what Michael is looking for. And she compares them. She does this whole food metaphor where she calls Kimmy creme brulee.
Mm-hmm.
Michael's at a restaurant. He orders creme brulee, and the creme brulee comes out and it's perfect and it's sweet. And then he looks at it and he realizes, I don't actually want this. I want
Mm-hmm.
something else. And Kimmy's like, what does he want? And she's like, he wants Jello. She's like, Jello? The whole back and forth between them where she's like, I could be Jello. She's like, no, you can't. You're never gonna be Jello. And obviously it's a whole metaphor for their love triangle, at least the love triangle in Jules's head,
Mm-hmm.
where he doesn't actually want Kimmy, he wants Jules, which is not very not true.
Yeah.
So she does it, she goes back and forth a couple more times. They patch things up. He still wants to marry her, she still wants to marry him. And then Michael and Jules come back together and they walk to that gazebo.
Mm-hmm. And they have that moment where Jules confesses her love. They kiss, and but then Kimmy sees them, takes off running. So then Michael starts running after her. And then we go into the whole chase of everybody chasing each other, and Jules calls George while she is chasing them out too. And George is kind of like, girl, give it up.
Mm-hmm.
He, did he kiss you back?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, yeah, our lips were touching. And he's like, yeah, but like, did he like say something? And she's like, well, he had to take off. And then he finally is like, Michael's chasing Kimmy. You're chasing Michael. Who's chasing you?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was such a great line.
Yeah. He's always keeping it real with her. And can I say, the whole gazebo scene, Kimmy running away, I was like, you're running the wrong way, bitch, because I would be running at the girl. I'm not
Yeah.
running away. I'm
Drag
going to
her
get in
ass.
your face.
Yeah.
Like, no, at that point, you're done. You're out of the wedding. I knew not to
Oh,
trust you. Like, it would have been a problem.
Jules had the perfect hair to literally just drag her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
She, like, I get it was a shocking moment, but I would not have run away from that situation.
No, me neither. No. I fight or flight, I usually like to fight. Like overall, the fight or flight thing, I
Yeah.
think it depends if like my safety is it in
Hmm.
in question. But usually it's yeah, no. I would have not run like Kimmy did. Heck no. To where? What would I have done? Which, we do find out she ends up running to the freaking park. But still, no.
Yeah. I mean, if I am if I am running away from that situation, it's me and my big mouth running to the rest of the guests and be like, "You want to know what this bitch just did?" Like, I would be
Do you want to meet a
absolutely
whore?
blowing up her spot.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
my mother's side of the family would
Yeah.
just get on top of that girl and rip her apart.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to
Yeah.
do anything,
Oh yeah.
but I would like to do something. So maybe I wouldn't run to my family first. I would take care of some shit myself.
Well, I would hit her first and then drag her to my family and
Yeah,
then announce,
just lay her out in front of them. Be
bring her,
like,
be like,
"You
have you
want to
ever
hear
seen
some
a
shit?"
whore? I mean, let's just say something, a spoiler alert. They end up getting married, Kimmy and Michael, and I'm just like, how? This forgiveness went a little too quickly.
She's too forgiving. I think, yeah, that was one of my notes. I said too forgiving.
Yeah.
She's too forgiving of Jules.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because Jules, I mean, okay, we'll fast forward here. Basically, they go chasing after Kimmy. They find her in the park. What is the name of this park?
Comiskey
With
Comiskey Park.
that park. So she finds her in the bathroom, or they go in the bathroom, which that bathroom scene was kind of funny. And then they, whatever, forgiveness happens, everybody comes together. Then you have the wedding happening, and Jules is still giving a speech at their wedding.
It's bad enough that she's still maid of honor. She's still part of the wedding. She's still up at the altar. They're they're smiling at each other like nothing happened. So the whole scene, the bathroom scene at Comiskey Park,
Mm-hmm.
I was I was like, yes, Kimmy, fight back because she
Mm-hmm.
said what she had to say. She shoved her hard into the bathroom, into one of the stall doors. She admits to Jules, like, yeah, I kept you close. I didn't trust you, and I was right not to trust you because look at
Mm-hmm.
what you did. But then all it takes is Jules confessed to everything, and then she says, "You win. He doesn't want to marry me. He loves you. I want to take you to the church to marry the man of our dreams, whatever, whatever."
Oh, that's such an ugly line. Okay.
And then Kimmy like stares at her for a second and then smiles and then hugs her. And everybody in the bathroom is like, "Aw,
Mm-mm.
no, that's not an
No.
aw moment. Cool.
No.
Thanks for apologizing to me. Thanks for confessing. You can go screw yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You stay here in this bathroom, and I'm going to go to the church." And that's it. That's it. We
No.
completely skipped over her confessing to Michael because her confessing to Michael happens before she finds Kimmy in the train station.
About what she'd done. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like he's he's like kind of mad, but he's not mad enough. And
No.
he even says like, "Thank you for loving me that much." So you're right, Jen. He
He
likes
knows.
this. He
Yeah.
fuck Michael.
Yeah. He only wants Kimmy for what Kimmy can bring to his life. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just it is a wild scenario that I really hope to God nobody would actually be okay with all this. Like Michael's still remaining friends with her, which he's shady anyway. Kimmy still allowing this number one, allowing this friendship to still be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Still letting this woman in your wedding, still letting her make a speech. On top of that, okay.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah.
they get married
Mm-hmm.
and they're at the reception. And it's time for Jules to make her maid of honor speech. And she makes a joke too soon about how
Mm-hmm.
she had a crazy dream that some whack job was trying to break the two of them up. And Kimmy and Michael are like, ha, 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 like laughing about like what's happening.
No. No. You know what? And I'm gonna bring this comment back again to Shotgun Wedding. It's given we almost died, yet we're still celebrating. Like it's just what's happening
Yeah.
here that everybody's just okay with literally the betrayal that just happened.
It's denial.
It's so weird.
It's denial. I I feel very torn about the whole passing the song, like her and Michael's song. Part of her speech is, she says, I wake up and I see that the world is exactly how it should be, and talks about them together. And then she's like, I know you guys don't have a song, so this one is on loan until you find your song. And then The Way You Look Tonight, which is Michael and Jules' song,
Uh-huh.
which do you do you remember when they go out to dinner and the dinner that Kimmy is trying to like propose the job offer? He
Okay.
Jules comes into the restaurant. He stands up and, hugs her and he's like, "Oh, you look great." And as they're sitting down, he sings a part of the song. And then he goes, "Remember?" So uh, uh, so she gives them their song. She's like, this is now your song.
This is so weird.
It's weird. I feel very torn because I get that it is a sweet gesture, or it's supposed to be like, I'm letting you go. This is you guys. But it's annoying and it's disrespectful. It's like one last little dig from her.
Exactly. It's so disrespectful to Kimmy. And the thing is, Kimmy, because technically we didn't see it on screen, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Kimmy doesn't know that this is like how this is their song and like how in depth the emotion it is for them as their song. Like what the song means to them.
Yeah, if she had just turned her head, she would have seen Michael like about to cry. He gets super emotional
Ew.
about it. So now, like, we're gonna dance to this song, but you're gonna be thinking of her. That's manipulative.
Bad.
It's all very unhealthy.
It's bad.
They have this huge send off. They leave in the middle of their reception.
Yeah.
They get sent off in a Rolls Royce with all these like firework things, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually
Mm-hmm.
very lovely.
Yeah.
And when they're saying goodbye before they drive off, she's trying to catch up with them to say goodbye to Michael, and then he finds her and they like give each other a hug. I mean, that part, I'm not going to sit here and say that like it didn't have me feeling something. Like it was them like letting each other go,
Mm-hmm.
kind
Mm-hmm.
of. And it was, it was sad a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but also she just shouldn't have been at the wedding.
I think they really wanted us to feel that emotion of like, okay, they've closed this chapter.
Yeah.
But for me as the viewer, it's a little too quickly of a closure. It's like you're trying to fit it all in the last few seconds of the movie. Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, they're still planning on having this twice a year affair, and knowing them, they're going to go through with it. So, I mean, how really are they letting each other? I don't know.
I I would love to know if after this wedding what that friendship looks like.
Yeah.
Cuz, Kimmy could be like, "Hey, I forgive you enough for my special day,
Mhm.
but this day is done now. And
Mhm.
this is my husband and
Yeah,
that's
like
it."
are they going to go out again together? Like how like what is this chemistry like not chemistry the no. What's the word
Dynamic?
I'm looking for? Dynamic. Yeah, what is the dynamic of this trio now? Also, this was not your best friend, Jules. George is your best friend. We end the movie with him doing a beautiful
I
freaking
know, I
speech.
love it.
I ate
The
it
way
all
he
up.
the way he narrates at the end, he's like narrating everything she's doing. It's so funny.
Oh, that's your best friend, girl. That is who you need to put your energy on, not Michael.
Yeah. The gay best friend always coming in clutch, making you
For
feel
real.
great. Always making you feel good. And always being very real with you.
Yeah.
So,
We love a gay bestie.
we do love a gay bestie.
Well,
They make me feel beautiful. At least our gay besties make me feel beautiful.
yeah. Yeah. They will never have me out here looking crazy. That's for sure. Unlike straight besties.
Oh man, what a crazy movie, right?
I watching this movie again the second time I thought, okay, this is crazy. But after we just talked about it, I feel so much more set in my ways that this is crazy. This movie had a very obvious evil villain and everyone else, poor things, type of situation. Do you want to talk about our ratings?
Yes. Do you want to go first or last?
I can go first.
Okay.
So, we are going to rate this movie based on the lobster emoji because we love Barracuda and that scene. My rating, and I've told you, I think this might surprise you, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm giving this movie a 4. 4 lobsters out of 5.
I'm smiling so hard because I have the same rating.
Get out!
Four
Okay,
out of
well then
five
let me.
lobsters.
That's amazing. Okay, let me give you my reasons. I thought it was a good movie overall. There were some really, the reason for that specific comment, like, there were some really good scenes. You know, we talked about the one under the bridge in
Hmm.
Chicago and the light, how it came back up and you just knew her time was up. Um, a lot of George stuff and whatnot. Then my theory, like,
Hmm.
I truly feel that Michael would wanted the perks that Kimmy could offer, but he physically, I can't even say emotionally because I feel like that man had no emotions, but he physically wanted Jules, or he was in lust with Jules. So I thought that alone gave me, put the rating up there for me. I also, I like rom-coms that have a different like ending and a different
Hmm.
like feel to them.
Hmm.
So I like that about this one. I wasn't craving closure because of that. So it's like this could
Right.
end whatever. I don't care. And then finally, I love her husband, George. I love their relationship. I love that ending. And that all that together really tipped the scales for me. But I know you also gave it a 4
Four out of
lobsters.
five lobsters.
Tell me why.
I love this movie. I do. I know we kind of like tore it apart, but
Oh, we did.
I really do love this movie. Um, Again, it was always a comfort movie for me because it made me laugh because I liked the performances and stuff. But as I got older, I was really quite bothered by how underhanded Jules was. It's weird because like I it's not like I didn't notice. It's not like I didn't know what she was doing. It was just not something that I really focused on.
Mm,
And then, when I watched it again in like 2020, I was like, wow, this is like messed up. And so
yeah.
that is why I didn't give it 5 because I was triggered by this whole scenario
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it didn't sit well with me. I mean, I know it's a movie, but like I don't know, it I feel like the movie tried to position Jules as like a sympathetic character, and there were moments where I did feel her pain,
Mhm.
but she's a scumbag,
Mhm.
and so is Michael.
Yeah.
And she's trying to steal this man and mark her territory, and it's just I don't know. So it that was the reason why I took off a point. Like I I didn't I didn't have a problem with anything else really.
Mhm.
It was that it was like the problematic behavior that I was like, "Oh, this is it's not like it made me feel like yucky." There's something
Mm.
gross about the whole thing and it made me feel like I was watching something I'm not supposed to see.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does. I cannot help but just my reaction to that is Michael made her do these things. And I
He's
know
the
she
true
needs
villain.
to, I agree and I know she needs to be accountable for her actions,
Yeah.
but because like I don't even think she wants this man. I don't think she's like really in love with him either. It's more of a just he's been around, he's been a constant thing.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why George asks her, "Are you actually in love
Mhm.
with him? Like why are you going
Mhm.
so crazy right now?" And
Yeah.
I think I think she does I think she does love him, but she and Michael are both very immature.
Extremely. Mhm.
And again, I feel like she panicked because she felt like he was always going to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and then
And wait for
all
her.
right, and wait for her,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden he's getting married. Don't worry, Jules, they're going to get divorced. They're going to
Yeah.
get divorced and you're going to get your shot.
Ugh. Yuck.
That's absolutely what I believe is going to
Yeah.
happen. Like, if this were an actual scenario, if these were real people, Kimmy and Michael are not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get divorced kind of quickly within 5 years. And by that time, maybe Jules has somebody else. I don't know. But
Well, I hope she does. I hope she's not waiting for Michael. Ew. Ugh.
I don't know. I don't know if she would be waiting for Michael, but if she has commitment issues and she is bouncing from guy to guy to guy, it might still that might still be the case. I don't know if she would be actively waiting for him
True. I see what you're saying.
because she married them off. Like, she confessed to him her love and he still chose Kimmy. So probably in her mind this is done. They're married, he's off limits. I lost him forever and now I need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to get divorced.
He's
And
so manipulative, though. So he will get that twice a year affair. Ugh. Michael just, what's funny? The actor that plays him, I cannot pronounce his name, but he just always has that sneaky face. Like his face is just sneaky looking. So I think he was the perfect person to play Michael here.
you think he looks I think
Yeah,
Dermot Mulroney is so sexy. He's always
because he got that sneaky evil look.
he doesn't look evil.
Yeah, he's got
I
that.
I don't think he looks evil. I think he has a very smug, like arrogant look to him sometimes. Like I'm
No.
thinking of him in New Girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he
He was evil then too. He almost broke up Jess and Nick on their wedding day.
Yeah, he was pretty manipulative at the end, yeah.
And he made them write that thing,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, he just has he's got a sneaky look. I don't know. I feel some type of way about him. But I think
You don't trust him.
I don't trust him.
You know what?
It's the smirk.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
have you ever seen the movie The Family Stone?
No, I know we've talked about it, but no.
Okay.
Is he in it?
He is in it. And
He's sneaky?
He is kind of sneaky shady in that too.
See?
Damn.
It's his eyes. I'm looking at a picture of him right now. It's his eyes, his smirk. You cannot trust this man. You can't. And he's a Scorpio. Go freaking
Is
figure. He? Yeah, in real life. Yeah.
October or November?
October. Right at the end there. The 31st is his birthday.
Mm.
But at least the characters he plays, he has the look to be sneaky. And he delivers. Yeah.
He's so handsome. He's so handsome. That's what disarms you.
I don't know if he's that handsome.
Okay. Fair enough. I think he's dreamy, especially in this particular movie.
In this one, yeah.
Yeah. And he just keeps getting hotter as he ages, personally.
I mean, are you sure? Do you want me to show you what I'm looking at right now?
Let me see what he looks like at this moment in time.
All right, I'm going to show you something. Look at my screen. That's sexy to you?
When was this taken?
This was taken. Copyright 2022 Getty Images.
Oof, he looks rough in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
But look at him. He's so handsome in all these.
Oh my God, look at this sneaky look. Did you see this? Oh my gosh. This man is so sneaky. Look at this. Yeah, no. He's bad news. Bad news. Oh, this is a good picture of them.
Oh, I think that's at the anniversary shoot of the movie.
Look at this.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh, look at this. Nope. Bad news.
Well, I've learned that I can't trust my own judgment when it comes to men.
That's what I'm here for. I will pull up pictures and I will tell you.
If they're problematic, if they look like they're trouble, then chances are I'm probably going to want to be with him.
Well, I think in your defense, the ones you truly, truly fall in love with, though, are not problematic. Pedro?
But he's not real to me. Like, he's not. Listen, I love Pedro Pascal. He seems like such a genuine person, but he doesn't count because he's not.
Because he's not sneaky?
Because he's not in this world that we live in. if you're looking at my actual dating history,
okay,
it's not the greatest track record.
Were there a lot of sneaky looking?
There was a lot of sneaking, period. Thank you for joining us today. If you'd like to send any movie recommendations our way, or just, a little love note, you can drop us a line at podcastmeetcute@gmail.com or find us on Instagram and TikTok at the Meet Cute Pod. Enjoyed the show? Subscribe today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And finally, a big shout out to Spreaker from iHeart for being such a great podcasting platform. Until next time.